Coming from the Truspace, we ain't entertaining neighbors. I don't give a fuck what you say. Found the universal coochie, planting seeds and birds fruit. Now I'm really looking juicy. Welcome to the Truspace. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the Truspace. Welcome to the Truspace. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the Truspace.
What's good, y'all? My name is Open Book. This is my partner.
Hey guys, welcome back to Truspace. This is Harris.
Yep, and this is your weekly horoscope. So let's break down this energy. Looking at Monday on the 10th, we have the moon in early degrees of Taurus, making a square with Saturn in Aquarius. How do you think this energy is going to hit us on Monday?
So guys, we're coming back from the full moon in Aries, which is fully emotion reacting in form of passion or aggression towards what we built is so far when it comes to our relationships, our partnership, which is what Libra, the cuffing season, was about and what the new moon initiated. So this moon in early Taurus is us basically stabilizing, grounding everything that we emotionally reacted to when the moon was in Aries, whether we're aggressive or we're passionate. So we're gonna develop some form of value, stability. This is a good time to see what you manifested immediately because you're having the moon in Taurus and it's exalted here. So you're gonna have a real sense whether you feel safe or not with what you gathered from the full moon. And this is right now us the letting go sequence of the full moon. So this is also squaring Saturn and Aquarius. This is you going through the learning opportunities as you letting go and seeing whether the relationships that you developed so far are working for you or not, and do they work well with what do you want to be associated with in the long-term future. And that square is creating the sense of restriction and boundaries through your emotions, exalted in your physical need of what you currently possess and what you need to bring together with your associate. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I bet it can play out as a struggle of patience too, where emotionally you are, you know, able to be a little bit more patient, or maybe you're emotionally starting to understand, stability, and that it's not gonna come easy. But Saturn in Aquarius is demanding physicality right now. It's demanding, organization and all of these things right now. So that's what it may be really showing off because, Taurus is support, laying the ground, the foundation is the soil that allows the seed to grow and to be fertilized. But Saturn's asking for it's already been fertilized, processed, refined, and to shipped out into a product and, to already be out. So you can have that and don't let that deter you a little bit too much, because if you're working on something that is good, or if you're emotionally responding to something that is really stable, something that is really grounding, don't let the rush and demand of Saturn derail you, or leave it and stop putting work into something like that, even though it feels so demanding. So I will watch out for that square. Yeah. And then the moon in Taurus is making a trine with Ceres in Virgo. How do you think that's hitting?
So Ceres deal with basically he represent the energy of a woman who did not have the time to cultivate something as she basically moved on to something else. So think about currency this way. So what you're cultivating, you didn't have time to cultivate. Is this Virgo energy, and we already went through Virgo energy, and this is a good time to look over and worry a little bit about optimizing a little bit of these things as we're putting a lot of energy into Libra season, and this might make you forget your routines, your patterns, and your health. So actually this is very good, and it's trining the moon, so it's actually beneficial because you're emotionally wanting to react towards physical thing, so you can see that influencing you to create good things in your life. You're also having the in conjunction to Mercury as soon as it enters Libra. Like I'm saying earlier, having more emphasis towards our relationship, creating more balance, dealing with open enemies. But remember, Taurus deal with physical stability and values. So you gotta understand the difference between physical, tangible things and patience, but versus words and relationships, and how you can make sense of this in conjunction is gonna be big too, because yeah, Venus is there, the Sun is there, and then we got Uranus, the North Node in Taurus. So this is gonna be a big thing, in especially in Libra season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the moon in Taurus may make you, not even more materialistic, but more real, more looking for at value. So Mercury and Libra, I can still see the in conjunction where you're talking with people, and but maybe you seem more materialistic, or they're seeming more materialistic, or the conversation gets into that line and you get to see the real value, when substance is being talked about, how to bring that conversation up, to not make it just about um, lightness. Mercury and Libra asks you if you're my friend and all of that, but Moon and Taurus wants to know, are you loyal? So like that's the in between, while the conversation of getting the friendship going and stuff like that. But the Moon's really looking for the loyalty aspect. And it's funny how you said Ceres is a woman who was doing something but didn't end up finishing. That's exactly what I was talking about with the Moon and Taurus with Saturn energy, and that's crazy. And it's trining the Moon, so it's helping the Moon kind of understand the patience aspect, and what it means to really work on something, so it can positively learn the lessons from Saturn. It's not like Saturn's demanding all of this. Sometimes it's not it's not the drug dealer, or it's not the cartel coming from for their extortion money or whatever it is. A lot of the times it's energy that's pressing you, but you have to figure out how to utilize it, how to best go about that energy, to not fall into that pressure. Sometimes, even though the external world's putting pressure on you, it's better to foster the thing that you're working on, to not let it deter you away from that path, so that you can actually have something to harvest in the end of it. So Monday might be a challenging day in terms of physical reality really demanding something from you. But if you place your emotions in the right place, especially with it being in Taurus, you understand value at a high level, which we already should have with the nodes in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus. We should have a new, fresher perspective of what value is. If you start utilizing that, the pressure of the outside world will start to alleviate, and you'll be able to be more grounded, more stable emotionally. And yeah, that's Monday. Looking at Tuesday, we have the Moon in Taurus conjuncting Uranus and the South Node in Taurus. How do you think that's gonna hit us?
So as we're diving deeper into our values, our sense of stability, and the moon's exalted there, so we're highly reacting to our physical senses and our need to feel what could make us stable. But now we're hitting the conjunction with Uranus. Uranus is uniqueness, originality, sudden changes, which is a concept is needed for Taurus, the hormonal system, to adapt to new situation. It's like a progress, which is beautiful, coming off the Saturn square, which is demanding for us to progress when it comes to our association, our ideas, and things of that nature. So the thing about the conjunction with Uranus is the electric acceleration process of your emotions to find things that could physically satisfy you in a better way, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And with the
And the newness, the freshness.
A lot of people don't pay attention to that and things of that nature, and they get the North Node confirming your spiritual path. You taking that energy, the sudden change, so you could do something with it, and the moon's exalted too. So it's like it puts you in the physical world through your emotion, then it hits you quick, so you could act efficiently as you're experiencing the opposition coming from the South Node of Scorpio. You know that your deep vulnerabilities could be taken advantage of. They could be due to the situation that's happening with the world. We're very vulnerable. We don't own nothing related to the physical world, Tartarus, Earth, and things of that nature. So we all feel like we don't own nothing, and we got to control our emotion. So there's gonna be a heavy, demanding day for that. But that accelerates process. This is why we have the whole South Node North Node relationship.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's necessary for the process to be accelerated. It's just like what you were saying, we don't really own the physicality. You don't run how even your hormones run in your body. Some Jewish nigga, in a lab is running how the hormones function in your body, which is crazy. And how you obtain stability. And this COVID shit and everything, these alignments have been shaking up that reality, showing us, trying to teach us to get physical again, to get into the world again. Like we're trying to separate spirituality from the physical. North Node is really trying to tell us that especially when it was in Gemini, it was like people may think like words are lost. Like you would hear people say that about the Bible, that the Bible, I don't even, they never read the Bible, but they're like, oh, the translations and all of that, so there's no truth that's in it. And like to a degree, it is diluted, and they're etching on something. But you've never even read the Bible, and you're claiming that because it's in English or because the language has changed, somehow spiritual meaning has been taken out of it. But they were trying to tell us, like, there's spirituality in the words, that it's in the words as well. That's what the North Node, the spirituality in everything. And the North Nodes just keep on going to remind us, put us in that newness, that godlike area, that an area that we haven't manifested before, to get us to test that. And right now it's in Taurus. So right now, just like what you're saying, the spiritual path is understanding value, being stable, learning how to accomplish that. Uranus being there, yourself on an individual level with like-minded people. Yeah, it's not like you're supposed to build it, but it's supposed to be a movement that's leading to independence, that's leading to uniqueness, that you're able to create your own unique sets of values and not to gain value from the world. And just like what you're saying with that Saturn square, it's kind of, it's like preparing us. That's what the world was doing. It's like putting that pressure. I bet from Monday, the world is going to be like, you ain't shit, nigga. You ain't got this, you ain't got this. Hurry up with this, hurry up with that. And then on Tuesday, all of that pressure led to the idea that you came up to, led to the new opportunity that came through. All of that pressure force you, you know what, fuck it, I have to go and try this new thing. Let me try that new thing that I was thinking about, dabbling about, but that I never fully jumped into. Fuck it. I emotionally want stability. I emotionally want value. I emotionally want self-respect, to feel self-value. So I bet a lot of that could be coming up in the day. But we'll look at the in conjunction with the Venus and Sun conjunction in Libra. How I understand what that internal emotions going on. You really looking for stability and something new. Sun and Venus making you more social, making you more compromised, more diplomatic. I can so see how that will put you in a new space where you start interacting with your relationships, and they try and take away some of that steam, some of that newness. They're like, oh, that's scary. Nobody's ever done that before. It's like they're like, that's weird. What do you do it with the Uranus energy? You know what I mean? So I can so see that throwing you off.
This whole Libra season right now, especially after the full moon in Aries, this is us re-witnessing our superpowers through the full moon in Aries, then Taurus, us grinding, and then we're gonna go to Gemini, and then Cancer. Because just think about the fact that we're paying attention to all this energy into our relationships, balancing these things, and then at the end of this full moon cycle, being reminded with the personal side of the zodiac wheel, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer, as we're exiting towards Scorpio season, and we're diving deeper into the collective.
They're really holding us down right now. It's a real dance of the generational and the internal. Like with what we have in Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. This is spring versus winter time, which is very interesting dynamic that's going on in the world for sure. And yeah, that's how Tuesday's looking. Looking at Wednesday, the moon is at the later degrees of Taurus now, making that trine to Pluto and Cap. How do you think this is going to hit?
So we're going through all these emotional need to satisfy your stability and your physical senses through the acceleration of Uranus and Taurus, the North Node, and the opposition to the South Node in Scorpio. Right now, you're going to have the trine to Pluto, allowing you to create the opportunity through emotional stability to take power and control of your status, your business, and that's good energy. Take advantage of that. Don't let it be used against you. The government taking power and control of your check, insurance money, ways of gaining stability and future, and you're gonna feel that in a negative way because it's Pluto creating opportunities with the moon, and the moon is exalted in Taurus, especially it's exiting Taurus. So you started thinking about all these things, that all the transformative situation that Pluto wants you to go through. So that's gonna be very important.
Absolutely, absolutely, and having that understanding or emotional attachment, like the moon being exalted in Taurus, I don't think people understand how valuable that is. Or
It,
the exaltation, or how it can be used in a positive way. Yeah.
and like it really makes it allows your immune system to develop to a point that it allows you to develop your own hormonal stability and things of that nature. Like people don't understand how you feel really affect what hormones you produce, and each hormones are associated with your happy thoughts, anger, and things of that nature. So it's a very simple way to associate what hormones you're currently feeling and things of that nature.
The more you value your own resources, the more you understand how to go about other people's resources and how to go about the world in general. The more emotion you're able to attach to stability and practicalities, the more responsibility you're going to be able to uphold. It's like your ground is the most stable, the flat land that can really give you the stability to go and jump and obtain your higher things. So like the moon in Taurus is very good for goal getting. That's why Taurus is got the itchy hand syndrome. That's why they get the bag. You know what I mean?
You like this analogy? Your bones has small cells. They call them astroblast and astroclast. They deal with destruction but building your bones on a micro level. But Taurus control the hormonal aspect of how these things control the bones. So Taurus, the more you desire stability, the more these things function, depending whether you're on a positive or a negative aspect of it. Yeah, so it does build.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it helps the structure. The more emotion you can give to your values and practicality, the more you're able, your resources, your skill sets, the more you'll be able to build, the more structure you'll be able to fill within your life, just like how it builds your bone system. Absolutely. And that's what Pluto and Capricorn is about, where it, especially with the heightened emotions for value, if you have certain standards, you're going to make the certain transformations that is necessary to uphold those, to have power and control over that aspect. Otherwise, it's going to have power and control of you. So that trine is really, really trust your emotions, or try and direct your emotions in towards stabilizing your values. Because once you get that down, you'll be able to change and transform and take power and control over your position in the world. And it'll be a lot easier to do that and to see that and conceptualize it on Wednesday.
Exactly. Your moon in Taurus.
And then look, I was even making a sextile. Oh, I was even making a sextile with Jupiter in Aries. It's kind of like where the moon's in the later degrees of Taurus and Jupiter's in the early degrees of Aries. So if it was in Pisces, it would be making a sextile, or Jupiter's kind of dipping into Pisces. But even if, it was a little bit forward, the moon would be a little bit into Gemini and, be making that sextile. So we're still making that sextile, but how do you think that may be adding on to it?
So this is this is making you, as you're exiting your sense of stability and grounding nature, because Taurus could be very conservative in their nature. Taurus and Scorpio, they rule the rest and the digestive aspect of our nervous system. So that could make them lazy on the negative sense, but they rule that part of our biology. So once you think about it this way, you can think about the sextile with Jupiter in Aries as your emotion is in that conservative state, the cool down state. You're seeing the opportunity with Jupiter to expand your brain and nervous system, because you know what you ground and what you want to stabilize, and then your brain is like, oh, thank you, now I can function better, I'm not foggy, because you stabilized your hormonal system, and now you have a better neurological function and things of that nature, because you emotionally, physically wanted the right thing, so now you see the right things in your temple.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the more Jupiter is like in the early signs of Aries, kind of dipping back into Pisces,
Mm.
it's connecting back to the more primal subconscious desires that set Jupiter off on the journey for self discovery, for giving faith to oneself. So this can really boost the moon in Taurus by connecting it with the subconscious aspects, or with more imaginative abilities to really imagine and create stability, to tap into the source of where stability is created from, so you can visualize it, so you can creatively visualize it and not settle for previous representations of stability or value, but really connect with a deeper level of wisdom of what value can be, what stability can be.
And like another note on that Jupiter going back to Pisces from Aries, that reminds you of that covenant you made with God, just like Abraham, especially at Aries season, what you initiate, what you want to give birth to. So Jupiter going to Aries, you're having all that subconscious influence, being reminded of what you deeply desired and things of that nature. So that's kind of beautiful.
The covenant you made with God.
And
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's Wednesday. Looking at Thursday, the moon is in Gemini, making a square to Juno in Pisces. How do you think this is gonna hit?
So this is gonna be heavily chaotic because we're gonna be emotionally reacting to being flexible, adaptable, even indecisive when it comes to our thoughts, ideas, and smirky. So we're thinking about these things, and this leads to nervousness, especially coming from the full moon. Us experience our result directly with the moon in Taurus. So now in the moon in Gemini, this is us moving around, communicating, developing more early information on what we did so far in Libra season. But the whole square to Juno and Pisces, Juno, it basically the energy of if you emotionally connect to something deeply, marry it, and then betray it later on, that emotion come back and bite you. And that's the whole allegory if you ever watch it in Greek stories and things of that nature. But so that's because gonna make it go through learning opportunities with the way you utilize your emotion to think about certain things that you developed so far from the full moon in Aries, and then the moon in Taurus, what you stabilize to go with learning opportunity with what you need to emotionally marry to with Juno in Aries. And then there's also the in conjunction. No, that's actually the in conjunction to the South Node in Scorpio because it's the moon in Gemini. So you may not understand how vulnerable you are currently as you're going through these learning opportunities, dealing with emotionally stabilizing your thought process with what you need to marry in terms of dreams, illusion, Juno and Pisces. So you gotta be careful there. So because you're not gonna understand all the backstabbing. Think about it. Pisces is beautiful water, and then we got Gemini, beautiful thoughts, and then we got the South Node in Scorpio, behind the scene vulnerabilities are called mysticism, and we having squares and in conjunction. So definitely watch out this Thursday.
Absolutely, that reminds me of Kanye with the Gemini and Pisces energy, where he's gonna be saying a whole bunch of things, but he's sensitive at the same time and very sensitive to all of these things, but he doesn't realize that this leads to certain vulnerabilities, to certain dark things getting exposed, like with the Scorpio energies. That just remind me of Kanye. But absolutely, like with the moon in Gemini, that kind of makes you more emotionally versatile, but it can also play out as you give your emotions to do too many different things, or it's easy for something to lose your emotional interest. So when you're trying to marry certain imaginations or subconscious ideas, see how the moon in Gemini may make you lose interest, may make something else come up in your life that seems more emotionally viable. It's like, ooh, the emotional curiosity, I want to give more emotion to this, and kind of it conflate and make it harder for you for that marrying process to take place. Absolutely. And then Jupiter with the South Node in Scorpio, you don't even realize that you're being drawn into old patterns to protect your emotional stability. So I bet, while triggering, the moon in Gemini, you being emotionally, all over the place, and more susceptible to emotional influences. It may pique your mind on certain emotions that you're holding on to, or certain tendencies that you allow yourself to get into by the variety, by the
Mm-hmm.
emotional variety that is being shown to you.
Like a funny way to think about this alignment between Gemini and Scorpio, since Scorpio rules the rest and digestive nervous system with Taurus. Try smoking weed, which relaxes what your digestive tract and your nervous system. And what does that do? That's gonna allow you to what? Go to the washroom and take a better shit. Like a lot of people will notice that and things of that nature, which is kind of funny. Since it's Gemini, so it's funny as Scorpio, so it's behind the scene. Like you never knew about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. That's definitely true. At least it's gonna make you piss. At the very least, you're gonna piss. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Lilith in Cancer, retrograde. She's making a square with the Sun and Venus in Libra. How do you think this is hitting?
So we're going over old themes. Lilith is like the dark side of the moon. It's like you know your how you feel, but you never seen the dark side of your emotion before. So this retrogression is like going back over these emotions related to home. As your home is like your IC. This is the closest aspect to you. So you're going over these things, looking over your embarrassing moment, trying to get deeply comfortable. This is what Cancer is gonna help Lilith in, and the squares that create learning opportunities for you not to go so drowned or get lost in your relationships, since Venus is conjuncting the sun, so that Luciferian energy might blind you, so you have to watch out. But definitely learn how to balance home and family and then relationships. But it's gonna be a good square, because you have to learn how to balance this area of life either way.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge because a lot of times, like with Lilith type energy, it's like you know how you feel, or you may be more well. Your feelings and the moon is such subtle energy, so a lot of us really don't realize that we don't really know how we feel about a lot of things. But and that's where Lilith gets more power and takes control into things. But you can feel, oh, I feel like I need like I say I'm high valued, or I have these standards or whatever, and I emotionally attach to that. I may not be aware because I emotionally attach to that. It leads to feelings of inferiority, or it makes me more shy when talking to people, or whatever it is. That's kind of like that Lilith aspect. So especially when you attach that to comfort in home, you're not realizing the hidden feelings that are deeply entrenched in comfort, and that's all of us that right now, that oh, I want this because it's comfortable, or I like this, or this makes me feel good. But you're not realizing the deeper behind the scenes meaning of why you are attaching to that comfort. And I bet your relationships, maybe starting the conversation, that the desire to may bring light upon a lot of these things, or may threaten the comfort zone that you're really, and then you start reacting or starting feeling emotional, and it's like, yo, where did that come from? I didn't even know that I deeply cared about this. So it's a real learning experience where you're kind of being showed the darker side of your emotions, and maybe you don't want to crook those emotions. Then you're gonna have more of a frustrating type of experience with the Sun and Venus and Libra, because when you're trying to compromise and deal with other people and just try to start conversations about things, it's not going to flow, and other people are quickly going to not satisfy the darker aspect of your emotions because they can't read your fucking mind. They don't know your life story and see your blueprint and know the behind the scenes energy. So they're just gonna be walking all over that energy, having no idea what it is. And you're gonna have to learn how to start a conversation about that stuff to bring light to that, or how to rectify that energy in yourself if it's not serving you, if it's not leading to something beneficial or more emotional understanding.
Definitely watch out. There's a heavy illusion, heavy light. Lilith squaring the sun. The sun does not only deal with action, consciousness, and things of that nature, but also deal with the illusions. And then Venus conjuncting it. That's highly delusional time for you to get lost in your Lilith nature, to get provoked to the point that you wanna run back home as you're being pulled towards your social life for more. But like you're kind of, you have to decipher the delusions and the illusions and all those good stuff.
Absolutely. And then Saturn in Aquarius retrograde is squaring Uranus in Taurus. How do you think this is gonna play out?
So we kind of already talked about this. So this is looking
Mm.
over the restrictions and boundaries that we need to recreate in our groups, our association, our ideas, our thought process. Saturn deals with restricting and controlling the way we think. Comes to Aquarius. Aquarius is is fixed train of thought. It's not Gemini scattered around, think about this, that, and that, and analyzing all of them. It's not Libra initiating, being aggressive about relationship and connecting with the people. It's being consistent on a train of thought, and then it's almost like a cloud. So it plays out as a spaceship. This will make Aquarius unique and original because they go so far when it comes to thinking and connecting different ideas. This is why it plays out through them as connecting other people. So Saturn in Aquarius retrograde, this uses creating more restriction, solidifying your group, how your nervous system function, because your group is, you could literally, I'm pretty sure you could do some form of research related. The better your group is, the better your nervous system is gonna function, because things gonna move quickly. There's not gonna be stagnation. There's not gonna be, oh, this organ is interrupting my brain signal and things of that nature. And then the square with the Uranus is that needed sudden changes to develop a hormonal, the sense of stability within ourselves. But it's just through understand the restriction through our thought process and nervous system that we could control our physical reality.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, with associations and stuff like that, maybe you can talk about things, or you're not being triggered as much in certain things, causing more, nervous damage. For sure. I so see that. For sure. And we've been dealing with this alignment. Saturn's been crossing with Uranus, for all year. This may be like one of the last ones, or when they start going direct, maybe it'll pass by again. But where it's really being challenged, and I feel like Uranus is on a mission to kind of help Aquarius out. Like with Saturn in Aquarius is missing an essential part. It's missing the uniqueness. It's maybe trying to constrict a little bit too much, or to organize aspects without taking humanity into account in the fullest aspect, without taking what's really most logical for everybody, the uniqueness and diversity of people in general. But that uniqueness is learning new values. I feel like as Uranus is in Taurus, it went to a foreign land, or a foreign place, or a place where it's a little bit more difficult, so it can go and bring more of that knowledge back to Aquarius, if you get what I mean, or it can add that to Aquarius, so that Aquarius is more grounded. It's more understanding of value. So when we're trying to bring structure to things, like with Saturn, and we're trying to appeal to our status and our responsibilities to the collective, it's based on something that is real, that's stable. So it may be a little bit slower. Uranus is slowing down Saturn a little bit. Saturn probably doesn't like that too much, because it's in Aquarius, so it wants things to progress. And if it already has the situation set up, I already have the infrastructure, I already have this, I already have that, and the third, it's like, nigga, we're going forward with this mission. But Uranus and Taurus is like, wait, nigga, slow down. We don't have enough resources. We don't have enough value. So it's really challenged. And Uranus wants to move things forward. Uranus is looking for newness, uniqueness. So it's really a challenge of patience and stability, and grounding our revolutionary ideas of how we should move around the world with real world practicality. Because a lot of us have these ideas, oh, we should do this, oh, we should do this, all together and going to do all of this, but there's not a lot of real world practicality in terms of it. Yeah, for example, it's funny. Right now I'm in Alberta, and there's a lot of talk with people. They're trying to create new different political parties in Alberta, because essentially Ottawa and Ontario keeps on stealing all the oil money from Alberta, and Albertans are pissed off about it. So they're talking about separating, talking about becoming their own country and shit like that. Like if we weren't given, they're talking about $80 billion of taxes going straight to Ottawa, from the oils and stuff like that. Like we have 80 billion, we can build a military, you can do, and valid. But then a lot of the groups, none of them is talking about agriculture, none of them is talking about public relations, none of them is, and you're talking about becoming your own country or separating from a country. It's like, which is all a good idea, and maybe the circumstances do warrant that type of reaction. but the way that you're going about it is not grounded in reality. You know, and that's just an example of how that is going on. Nobody's talking about agriculture. Nobody's talking about, it's like, what do you mean? Y'all niggas dead smack in the middle of the motherfucking country. I don't know how that shit's gonna work out peacefully. But anyways, that's just an example of how that energy, I see that energy playing out in the real world. And that's Thursday. Looking at Friday, the moon in Gemini is going to conjunct Mars in Gemini. How do you think that's going to hit?
So the moon in Gemini, this is already us emotionally react to our thought process coming in from the full moon in Aries. So we're analyzing, we're reacting, we're debating, we're even being superficial to see how far we could go with what we developed with our relationship. That's how we develop communication skills. And you can't, everybody went through their third house in their early education. You can't tell a kid who's trying to act like other people he's being fake. That's how you eventually develop and analyze yourself. This is why Gemini deals with the whole fakeness and superficial and things of that nature.
Why Gemini, why Kanye is so childlike too.
Exactly. And so in the conjunction with Mars, think about accelerating the process of how you emotionally react to these thought process. And then Mars, it deals with hotness and dryness, and then it deals with separation. So this is separation to arguing, analyzing. So this heavy communicative ideas, argument that might lead to you feeling some sort of emotional weight. But this is the benefit of Gemini. Gemini don't give a fuck about anything, and this is how you're feeling. So you're gonna be able to communicate and keep up with the acceleration of Mars as you're experiencing this trine with Saturn in Aquarius, being reminded of the restriction you need to utilize when it comes to your thought process. Remember your associate, remember your uniqueness, originality, and we also have the trine for you to get more opportunities when it comes to your relationship. But look at this air trine from the eye view of Saturn in Aquarius, because it's the further out planet. It's going to allow you to control your emotion, since your emotions will be scattered like Gemini. But as you have the thought process about your associate, the people you're linked up with, who you want to revolt with and be unique and original with, you'll be able to control your emotion, but also control whatever illusion type of Luciferian energy that could come from your Libra, what's going on with Libra, the Sun and Venus. But also be harmonious with the associate, be kind with your associate, and not be so restrictive, so commanding, be so revolutionary with your associate to the point that you might revolt against your own associate.
Absolutely. And I feel like, and just like we were talking about, with the whole pressure that the moon was going through with it, it was in Taurus, at this preparatory type of aspect, you being in the right energy on this day, on Friday, aka with that conjunction, it can lead to a lot of ideas. It can lead to a lot of freeing of that energy. Like, say, if we have been using Mars in Gemini, it's been more psychological attacks, and we're being more using our curiosity to a detriment, being too aggressive with our curiosity, being too aggressive with our ways of communicating. That refinement process, that pressure that the moon is going into, especially it being in Gemini, may give us the new idea to spark to feel different ways about things, may give us the emotional versatility to come up with the ideas to our solutions, to come up with the ideas of how to better use our energy, to exert our energy, of better what to be passionate about, or how to use our passion, and to kind of rectify, especially with Mars and Gemini. Mars and Gemini would be going hard, you never heard words cut so thick. The moon may add its more subtle aspect, where you're not even just trying to hurt the other person's feelings now. There's a real rawness, or your emotions are coming out when you're trying to hurt the person. So now you're cutting the nigga up with words, but it's really deeply connected. Like, they can tell that that's really how you feel, you know what I mean? It's not a defense mechanism. It's not you getting a little bit too aggressive, it's truth. And this may be you. Maybe now you could even add more emotion to your passions and curiosity, and help that propel you forward. Have more of an emotional connection with communicating and your curiosity and progressing that forward. So absolutely, I could see it either freeing up some frustrating emotions, or giving you the keys to or frustrating your emotions even more. Maybe people are a little bit more sensitive now with their emotions, and it feels like you can't be, or you have to fight to express yourself. Like it has to be a battle. I can see a lot of that coming up, and make sure that you understand that it doesn't have to be like that. Definitely defend yourself, but make sure that the path that you're paving is towards a future, that you're not just stuck defending yourself for something that's lacking of substance, that you're not working towards something, that it's not giving you ideas that can build and function into something else. Just like with the early education aspect, like it's not you're building a foundation that you're going to take to somewhere else. That if it's just airy, it's just that Gemini fight, niggas just talking and talking, get out of there. Get out of there. And then the moon and Gemini trining Saturn in Aquarius. You were kind of mentioning that.
Oh, basically, we're going through that. We went through the entire thing.
Yeah, pretty much. And all of that will end the Sun and Venus and being in Libra. It's creating this whole. Oh yeah, this grand trine energy. Yeah, for sure. Heavy mental activity, and it's Venus day too.
Yeah, and it's Friday too.
Yeah, man. So man, I can see you being led to a whole different new area. Make sure you're using that, because with this grand trine area, you could use all of this heavy mental energy, just like what I was talking about. Like what the moon was going through before. Stabilizing on its values. You could use that to really further direct your mental processes on what's in front of you and what's really important, or it can take you all which way all over there. It can take you all to a new direction that you weren't even initially from, and then you have to work your way back, or there's all of these thoughts and ideas that is kind of clouding you or blocking you from your real mission. So understand that it's going to be a real mental day. Understand it's going to be a real chatty day, and really take the initiative to focus that onto what's more beneficial. Probably even, the Sun and Venus. How can you use all of this mental energy to better your relationships, to better your experience of how you present yourself into the world, of how you create balance with yourself in the world in general.
Yeah, definitely. You're gonna learn how to control a lot of this air energy. A lot of people don't understand how the air element, our thoughts, are correlated to like our nervous system. So as you're experiencing this air track, you're gonna see the heavy nervous system exhaustion. Just go out there and communicate and talk to everybody. You can see how tired you get. Water signs, earth signs. This is why we praise air signs and things of that nature, because nobody could do that.
But do that. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how you guys could breathe enough oxygen to even go communicate that level to people. I'll feel dead inside at this at some point, basically.
It's probably a sacrifice that the air signs have to make, and they lack in some other areas where it's like emotion. They don't have the emotional energy, whereas water signs will give all of the emotional energy to everything, but they won't be thinking. So it's like probably a sacrifice in different areas.
Like 100%, which is kind of funny, because like both water signs and air signs, they share the quality of witness in terms of alchemy, which make both of them social. But water signs are kind of social in a slow way to connect with you, while air signs, they kind of social in a very quick way, and they kind of scare water sign. So that's like kind of funny dynamic, but kind of they share some of the qualities together too. So that's interesting.
Exactly, and the fluidity. The fluidity of your thoughts and your emotions. They're both very, very flexible, immutable. Your visions, less so. Your the earth qualities even lesser, which is interesting.
Exactly.
So that's how Friday's looking. Looking at Saturday, the moon is in Cancer squaring Jupiter and Aries. How do you think this is hitting?
So this is time for the moon to go back home, where we're gonna feel our home, our sense of comfort. Time to connect to our domestic issue. Every time the moon in Cancer, the sense of receptive nature that's healing, because you're being reminded of how you need to make yourself comfortable. That moon in Cancer is almost like meaning this a lady that tells you about asking you about how do you feel, like is you being reminded about how do you feel. That's the moon in Cancer. And then having the square with Jupiter in Aries, this is being you going through the learning opportunities as you going back to make yourself feel comfortable looking at home. You can't forget the expanding when it comes to the self, your individuality, this nervous system dealing with your brain that you want to expand on, and you don't get too comfortable to the point that you're lazy, that you don't want to expand any more energy into your brain and nervous system, since with the moon at home could be quite lazy and things of that nature. But that's good square because Jupiter is exalted in Cancer and then Jupiter being in Aries, so that's gonna further the learning opportunities on how to match home with your individuality, so you could marry the two together and not see them as so separate, which might lead to say like Cancer crybaby moments and things of that nature, because you always think about what I want to expand on, what I need to learn and things of that nature. So yeah.
Considering how you feel all the time, like Top G would say, fuck how you feel, or it doesn't matter how you feel and stuff like that. Funny because he's a Sagittarian person with all of that Jupiter energy. But yeah, Jupiter and Aries, the expansion itself can really be halted by you catching feelings. Absolutely. Or I'm not feeling up to it today, or I want a little bit more comfort. That expansion, especially being in the Aries, it has to be bold. It has to be dynamic. You have to really take initiative and really get shit going yourself. It's really just you on this learning process, and especially with the gaining of wisdom. Right now, wisdom is not going to be given to you. You have to go out and get it. So you wanting more comfort, you maybe even other people, that maybe nurture you to a fault, or you connecting with them keeps you in a specific vibe that takes away attention from yourself, or you're trying to care or nurture for other people that you don't give the energy to go and expand yourself. So I absolutely see that playing out for sure. But that's just a learning experience of how you balance your internal natures with your visions, like with the initial concept coming to the first obstacle, the first, and that's how you feel, and overcoming the comfort and bringing this home. How do you bring this idea into a stable manner? How do you start to nurture these ideas? A lot of ideas don't even get to the nurture stage. They just stay mental constructs. But this is how you get it to the nurture stage.
Like if like Jupiter in Aries, that deal with the brain and nervous system. So if Moon in Cancer is your lymphatic immune system, it brings in this cool mechanism that allow you to what continuously spark your vision and imagination, as you would having the Moon in Cancer cooling you down, so you don't go so further up when it comes to being angry, being passionate and things of that nature. So that's kind of interesting.
And when you that's very interesting. And when your lymphatic system, your immune system is more overactive, say you're sick or you have a fever, you can't expend your energy in that way. It's so focused on cleansing the home. It's so focused on getting things right here, and it may be warranted in a certain way, for sure, or needs to be done. But then you can't use energy in the other way. So that's where that learning experience comes in, where what led you to being in the flu or that 6 day where you had to protect the home, where you had to go and do all of that in the first place, and how can you rectify that so next time the expansion of self doesn't get stifled. For sure. And then the moon is squaring Mercury in Libra.
So this is interesting. We're touching over like the houses that initiate the four seasons: the first house, the fourth house, and then the seventh house and the 10th house. So that's looking over. I feel like every time we hit those four houses, we're being reminded of balancing things out in our life and constantly initiating that balance, so they don't overcome each other. That's what I think will lead to like the angels fighting against each other type of biblical allegory.
Absolutely.
Which is kind of funny. So the square with Mercury is reminding your emotion. You gotta remember, you're gonna be correlated towards your relationship. You'll learn how to balance what's going on with your relationship and open enemies. A lot of people do not know your lymphatic immune system needs your kidneys to do your job. No, actually, your kidneys need your lymphatic immune system to do their job, and vice versa. Because if your lymphatic immune system does not constantly detox your kidneys, and your kidneys are needed to detoxify everything coming from Virgo and then Leo. So if you cannot do that, then that will clock Libra, which you guys call like the Ma'at, the Hall of Justice. So think about that. That's the kidney. That's the part of the body. So that's no justice in the body. Once that get clocked, the heart can't do its job properly, and then the lymphatic immune system gets caught up between what's the kidneys seventh house cannot detoxify, which is gonna be digestive issues, Virgo, and then blood heart problem, all the way to what you have cancers right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is very interesting. For sure.
Because remember, everybody talks about the lymphatic immune system, but nobody talks about the kidneys. Which is
But
kind of funny.
nobody
Which is kind of funny since they did with the fall season. They like the part of the Uriel sequence, the
Went into the
unknown.
dark. Absolutely.
What people don't want to talk about. Oh, the kidneys. What's the kidneys? What do you mean? They're so far
Absolutely.
out from what my brain is. Like, I don't understand. What do they do?
Mm-hmm. And that's what balances your vitality and everything. You know, it is such an essential part, which is so true, man. Which is so true. So I so see that playing out, and like Cancer is even like familiarity, whereas Libra's like newness, exposing you to the newness. So I can so see you emotionally, holding on to familiar, emotionally holding on to comfortability, and not allowing Mercury, your mental processes, to really even think about how balance can be obtained, how you can initiate it. Just like what you were saying, you're forgetting about the kidneys, you're forgetting about the balancing of the substances that is going to give the blood the ratio that it needs to make the person perform at the optimal level, that makes you perform at the with the least resistance. It's really needed. And even good things, Moon and Cancer, that's what we were talking about. Moon and Cancer, that's often leads to like emotional eating and all of these other things. But like with the Libra, at the function of the kidneys teaches you to get rid of excess. Not all of the things that goes to the kidneys, is bad or toxins or whatever it is. It gets rid of water. It gets rid of excess nutrients and minerals or whatever the fuck it is. So it's reminding you of the idea of excess, that you don't need excess of things, and trying to come into balance. You need balance. It's not about excess. It's about 50-50 type energy going with things. So yeah, we were talking about Saturday. That was the energy of Saturday. Um, Very, just to add on, a Saturday, it sounds like very much crossroads type aspect. That's how I look at Cardinal, because Cardinal signs are really initiating things. So it's like a crossroads. Like, do I initiate this? Do I initiate this? Or do I initiate that? So it's really, you really have to assess where you are in life and what needs the most balance, and understanding that the sun is in Libra. So the general theme should be, of what we're paying attention to, is establishing balance. So whatever path that you take of importance, or what you're trying to initiate, make sure it's facilitating balance being put into your life and in your
Because like
relationship.
earlier this week is like we're touching up more on like the 10th house, the 7th house, and then the first house. Later this week we're moving to the bottom part of the zodiac wheel. We're still touching up with the first house, the 4th house now, and then the 7th house being reminded we gotta go out there. So they're definitely interesting. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. And that's Saturday. Looking at Sunday, uh, we have the Sun in Libra making an in conjunction to Neptune and Pisces. How
So
you
as
think
we're
this one is?
diving,
The Sun and
so
Venus,
as we're
I guess.
diving deeper and deeper into getting either expressing and taking action on initiating these relationships, or getting lost in illusions relating to relationships, since Venus is there too. And this in conjunction to Neptune and Pisces would make it interesting, because Neptune is our subconscious mind. It deals with dreams, illusions. It deals with even the sense of lethargic. If you get lost in too many dreams and illusion and stop using your physical body for a while, that's what leads to like mental health sickness and things of that nature. So the Sun and Libra, you're gonna have to learn how to match the relationship of your subconscious mind with your relationship, since the concept of dreams, illusions, and understanding mysticism is not talked a lot, especially when people initiate relationship as you meet people for the first time. So that's very difficult, and that might be the blind spot that leads you not to understand, oh, maybe my relationships should be all associated with what I truly believe in when it comes to my spirituality and things of that nature. But I could also get very delusional and not want to connect with people and create those conversations that are needed for people to continue to live their life. This is why I leave it is with politics. Even though everybody hates politics, we still gotta do politics.
Yeah, a lot. That's interesting that you said that, because I was even thinking that like Venus and Libra, I consider in conjunction, because in Pisces, Venus acts like it's run away with things, but that only happens after. In Libra, Venus is making all these promises. Venus is like, I promise to stay true and fair and all of that. And then, once it gets into Pisces, Venus is like, it's all over the place. It's all flunked out. In Libra, Venus promised you that it wouldn't get flunked out. It's like, nah. This is balance here. It's no flunked outness. And then once by the time it gets to Pisces, there's nothing but flunked outness. So I see because it's so exalted and it's so hyper in that aspect. With Libra, when we're bringing things to that can to connect with people, just like what you're saying, just like the initial relations, starting the relationships, it's like the beginning of the connection, the beginning of the exchange. But Pisces energy is like just the complete susceptibility to the external world in terms of value, and in terms of sensuality, in terms of all of these things, kind of sensory overload. So I see the in conjunction, why Libra in conjunction Pisces, um, because it's trying to balance things so that Pisces doesn't get out of hand. So it's kind of like that awkwardness, but for sure, you just starting relationships can really shine light, or us trying to balance our relationships can really shine light on certain limiting beliefs that we have, because you can't control that mirroring effect. Other people are really going to be mirroring things from you with Libra season, and just by being social and being in social settings, you learn so much about yourself. There's so much things that you can't learn about yourself when you're by yourself. It's so much easier to lie to yourself, and to get caught up in illusions and hold on to certain emotions. But when you get into other people, especially with new relationships, you can't uphold that same bullshit. Maybe at home or with certain familiar ones, you had built and established certain falsehoods, or they placate or plays to certain illusions. But that new person that you never talked to, or those newer relationships, or those relationships that are imbalanced, you can't really play that same game. So I bet some limiting beliefs may really be exposed, some subconscious beliefs that you're not really noticing that's playing a role into your relationships getting exposed, and certain imaginations. Maybe you believe, envision relationships being a certain way. I can resonate with that personally. I have Pisces in my seventh house, so I've seen a lot of not Pisces. I have Neptune in my seventh house, so there's a lot of unrealistic expectations that I had of relationships. I thought I would never go through certain relationship problems and certain things like that. I just had a lot of imaginations about it. That once you start getting into relationships and stuff like that, it's like, oh, you realize that, you can't prevent those things, or it's like, you start getting the real reality of all of those. So I bet a lot of relationships are exposing that, or as you're trying to balance certain things, a lot of unrealistic expectations or belief systems you had about relationships or how a relationship should play out and stuff like that really get confronted and tested, and it make you feel different. It's like, well, I don't want to give up on the relationship, but I thought it would look like this. And you know, you may feel that awkwardness, that you know, that not sitting right with it, but you really need to learn from that because it could be stemming from false perceptions of reality, limiting belief systems, and all of that. So be careful that a limiting belief system doesn't stop you from creating a valuable relationship or creating balance in certain areas because you're letting the fog. You don't want to disturb the fog.
Sun in Libra in conjunction Neptune and Pisces gives me the vibe of Britain, especially because I think the natal chart should be around like Pluto in Libra, since Rome and United Kingdom should be around Pluto in Cancer. So think about this energy of them going around to put the world in this form of liberal energy to initiate this heavy form of relationship, and then in conjunction with Neptune and Pisces, us not realizing how they can imprint themselves in history to the point that we're very delusional about the British history, the Stuart family, things people do not know, their relationship with America, Ireland, and things of that nature. So that's kind of funny too. Like George Washington. Yeah,
Absolutely.
George Washington,
Yo.
all his buddies were Pluto and Libra. All of them.
Oh, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy that you said that. That remind me of a Glenn Beck video. That's the nigga I was telling you about who be on Fox talking about indigenous Americans. But he was connecting the American coat of arms to what's it called, Joseph, in the Bible, his dream that he had when he was saying his brothers would bow down to him and stuff like that. And that it was based off of the clouds and all the images that was in the dream. And he was like, if you don't believe me, you know what? Yeah, this is new. This is a new rendition of the coat of arms. This may not be meaning what I'm saying it means. Let's go back to what the founding fathers had put up for the coat of arms, and it was a literal depiction of Moses leading the Israelites out of the desert. I started dying. I started dying at how it went to that, how it was an abstract idea connecting to that mysticism and that spiritual connection, you know, being more Libra-esque, being more presentable, being more, you know, unattached to this. But the real subconscious foundation is, it's all spirituality. It's all based off of spirituality. And they were based it off of literally Moses, you know, which I thought was very interesting. So it's like when you went back, it was all spiritual, or it led to such a spiritual aspect, even though it's been changed and reformed for the diplomatic public relations type aspect.
If you ever guys heard about like liberal arts is basically like 7 stages about like in European education. It deal with like astronomy, music, arithmetic, logic, like simple stuff, which is deal with the concept of developing a man to know how to deal with the relationship, balance things out, know how to create judgment and things of that nature. But it's kind of funny since the in conjunction with Neptune is reminding us that all these things that were developed like liberal arts, these logical ways of communicating really come from the deeper aspect of Neptune and Pisces, and how these things are important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then also the Sun in Libra is going to square Mars in Gemini. Is it going to be a square or a trine?
The sun. Oh yeah, the sun
Sun
in
in
Libra is
Libra.
gonna trine Mars in Gemini. So that's basically, you can think about it as we obviously be putting more energy into our relationship. That's creating opportunities for us to speed up the process of how we could analyze things, and like vice versa. The more we could analyze and be aggressive about communicating, the more our relationships could get a little bit unrestricted, since Gemini mutable nature could make us playful. I know how to move around when it comes to relationship, but also the sun in Libra and make sure that we're kind of being aggressive with the moon. Mars in Gemini, we're not so indecisive. We're not allowing all these thoughts to shake us around when it comes to our relationship. These aggressive conversations, because it's gonna be a trans. A lot of opportunity created for thoughts, ideas, lostness in your mind.
For sure. For sure. And then the moon in Cancer is sextiling Uranus and Taurus. I think that's gonna
So
hit.
that emotional comfort and dealing with that domestic issue, as we were dealing obviously with home and then with Sun and Libra, and then also expanding with our sense of individuality, we're seeing the opportunity that we could do with Uranus and Taurus. Because it does depend. Positive, if we feel safe, we're gonna see the opportunity to initiate uniqueness and originality at home. Negative, if we don't feel emotionally safe, we're not gonna be able to initiate uniqueness and originality. If anything, we're gonna feel nervous because Uranus is gonna already shake Taurus, our physical reality, and then Moon is at home in Cancer, so we're very emotional. We might even cry that we did not take. We lost a unique, original opportunities. We lost like Uranus is like generational energy. You don't want to miss these sextiles, these strands that's very close to it. And it's the moon,
Yeah,
so
for
it's emotion,
sure.
it's receptive. It's like putting yourself in this subconscious emotional state to go after what you want instead of being thinking about it logically. This is allowing yourself to go through it on an intuitive level.
Absolutely. Like a lot of times, like just what the current state of the world is, it's so easy to be cynical, which is, things that we fall into, but Uranus is really calling for, in its healthiest aspect, it's genuine love for humanity, genuine love for people in general. So when we're having aspects being mated to Uranus, it's a real opportunity for us to really connect with that social aspect of our lives and how we, Uranus, what they say, it's the higher octave of Mercury. So really how you communicate on a higher level and then how you exchange ideas with other people on a higher level. So all of these sextiles, you can really come into a more comfortable, more familiar understanding of how you relate to people on that level of obtaining stability and understanding value, or it can lead to more opportunity for, just like what you're saying, for more nervousness, more overconsumption. Moon in Cancer, sextile in Uranus and Taurus, it can lead to your emotions and you catching feelings to really create opportunities for you to be maybe more reckless or rebellious with your resources instead of using that as a connective aspect with your surroundings, which if you're not having good Libra energy, which you're trying to be more harmonious with things, trying to be more balanced, it can lead to that over excess. When Cancer and Taurus get together, it's excess and excess and excess. Which is funny because that's what the kidneys do, get rid of and take out excess. So you're making your Libra sun work a lot harder, or would be working a lot harder if you dive into those aspects. So don't make that sextile or take that energy as, oh, I need more.
Mm-hmm.
Take it in terms of connecting what you have with what needs to be done or what needs to be
And that makes
created.
perfect sense since the sun represents your blood, and then the sun falls in Libra, so now you're losing vitality on how to take action on yourself since you're more correlated towards your relationship. So the moon in Cancer and sextile Uranus and Taurus on a heavy biological level, this is you. You could tap deeply into your emotion since the moon is at home to really see the opportunity to react to sudden changes, to really develop your biology. Like a lot of people they don't know how to react on a receptive level to things that's gonna happen before they happen, which lead to good stability within yourself because you see what could happen and things of that nature, as opposed to waiting for something to happen to you and then reacting towards it, and that will obviously lead to some form of better
Mm-hmm.
immune system health because you're attacking the pathogen immediately. You're not allowing it to come towards you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, that's how the week is looking. Uh, if you like the video, like and subscribe. We'd appreciate the support. Uh, Follow us on Instagram, TrueSpace underscore. Our website, TrueSpace.biz. And yeah,
Hmm.
thanks for
Take
watching,
care.
guys. Peace out.